Welcome back. It's been about maybe a week and a half since I posted another kind of garage talk here. Um, don't know really what I'm going to talk about. Well, I do know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know. You start one of these videos, kind of just forget. But you know, main thing that made me want to turn the camera on today was probably three things. I was going to do a kind of an update of where I am in my health journey here. The next is kind of what I'm currently doing to hopefully bide my time and to help prepare me for some lifestyle changes coming up in the next 6 to 8 months. I would assume maybe sooner with some other things that may happen physically wise. And then another thing too that I kind of wanted to mention when it comes to myself personally, I try to. I have talked about the dating thing, and I know it's a big thing, and of course, women or uh, girls and stuff are always on people's minds, and it's what people, guys in particular, kind of seek after, and especially online advice. And by no means do I have much advice to give in that situation. Um, had my struggles as well too. But it's just it's and I can start here. It's just that and I might have talked about this before. It's not like I go back through and I look at all the videos that I may have posted or not, or even things that I've talked about to myself or some friends and stuff. So kind of get lost of train of thought. But um it just seems like those that I seem to be interested in, and it's not always physical beauty, right? There's some trade-offs. A good you got to be attractive, right? And attractive by one person can mean something totally different to the other. But physical attraction, right? Or who I seem to feel like I am physically attracted to, and that's a wide range of um, individuals on the female side. I wouldn't say I directly have a type, right? I think lifestyle, fitness, things that I do, like that. She can't be, a slob or doesn't do anything or doesn't have any friends or stuff like that. Kind of the same thing that girls always ask about with guys. But it just seems like the people that I seem to be attracted to definitely aren't generally, probably I'd say 9 times out of 10, are not interested in me. Um, and I think that goes for a lot of guys that are in that upper echelon of physical attraction. You get old enough and you understand how female nature. I wouldn't even care if she just liked me for my money at times, right? I understand that's what she likes me for. It's transactional. A lot of things are transactional one way or another, right? Even with your friends, unfortunately, a lot of friendships are transactional. If you don't benefit them in some way or another, emotionally, mentally, doing things with, right, it doesn't really come on. There's very few people that are just genuinely good friends and genuinely just like to have and spend time with you. I have a couple of those, but uh, they are farther and few between. But from the opposite sex standpoint, yeah, if you're not top tier physically attractive, um, or they're attracted to your wallet, it's really tough. And it's not, in my situation personally, it's not tough to really get women, have hookups, go on dates, but it's with majority of the time women that I'm just not attracted to full heartedly, right? I'm old enough now that I know when I dig somebody or not, vibe or the energy or chemistry, it all means the same thing. But first, there has to be some physical attraction, and then, of course, is a personality. Of course, is there goals and ambitions, and Is she, feminine? Does she want a family? How is she with her friends and her family? Right? All that all kind of goes in together. But the initial part is, physical attraction. Of course, guys, I guess attraction floor in my sense is there really isn't much. So you can definitely get in a situation where you lead people on that you want more than what you really do. And that's what I'm focused on 2026. Obviously, I'm not going to really date. If something happens to come out organically, I will. But with stuff that I got going on personally, it's not on my top 5 priority list, right? But the reason why I'm bringing this up, the reason why I wanted to talk about it, the reason why I thought I should talk about it was I do get DMs very rarely, right? And the DMs that I do get, and I just blew that right in the camera's face, but um, whether it's from friends trying to hook me up with people, or it's just girls shooting their shots, and which I commend them. That's very rare. Or it's them putting them into your orbit necessarily digitally, right? Maybe they're liking your post. Maybe they make a comment on your story and they want something to lead on, and then you as the man have to kind of facilitate that, right? That's kind of how that kind of goes, and that's from my experience. Occasionally it's Mr. Hit, right? I've had a couple where it's been like, okay, I don't know this person personally. I go on their Facebook and I look, and I was like, is it really worth my time and money to take her out? Am I in a dry spell? I don't know. Is that all I want? Is it right for them? If, me at 36 thinks differently than I was at 26, even though at 26 I was married, but I'd say 16, 18, 20, 21, right? 22. Um, you kind of think a little bit differently. And is it going to disrupt your peace, right? Is it somebody that you can tell from their social media footprint? And, girls do the same thing. They vet guys how their social media platform is. And I'm sure there's things that I've posted, shared, or commented on that have definitely been, maybe a red flag to them or a deterrent or something that may be unattractive. I like smoking a cigar. I do this. Kind of makes me slow down, you know. Not necessarily gather my thoughts, but you get in a rhythm. Maybe you start talking too fast. Um, Kind of helps break that up. Couldn't tell you what I'm really smoking here. Ava Maria Excalibur, something on my humidor. But anyway, yeah, you go on there and you're like, okay, she looks pretty attractive. This recent example, a couple of them. But then it's like you got to take their photos from a grain of salt. Number one, right? Because of Photoshop, Face App, whatever it might be, filters, or the date it's dated, right? Maybe it's 3, 4, 5 years old. Okay, she's thinner then than she is now, right? And it's just like it's hard to judge. It's like, do I really want to? If it's not a for sure thing where I do like this person enough to take them out, and I just want to have something to do, and it's a female, and she might smell nice, and yeah, I could, get your dick wet and spend the money, and it runs its course and it's the same old song and dance? Or should I just concentrate your efforts in something else, right? If you're someone in my situation, I think it's smarter to concentrate your efforts somewhere else that's more rewarding and beneficial for you. However, if you're a younger person, you're just getting out and you're trying to meet new people, and you don't have that much experience, then maybe you do go and bag a couple, fives. What's the right thing to do? I don't know. I think that's not wrong, but anyway, um, yeah. So I had a couple of situations, and then I had somebody DMing me. It's like, hey, a buddy, an old, not really a buddy, but a work acquaintance that friendly with. I know him, right? From somewhere I used to work at. it's like, hey, are you single? I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm single. I'm not really looking to date, but I'm single. What's up? It's like, oh, I got this girl that's been asking about you. And I was like, what do I know her? No, you don't. But she saw that we were mutual friends on Facebook, of all places. It's like, oh, okay, what's her name? It's like, well, she added you. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Well, who, when, right? I do occasionally get some friend requests, and I don't accept everybody. I try to be picky. And it's a girl. It's a girl. Well, thank God. But um, I don't know. Compliment's a compliment. But I was like, oh yeah, she recently added you. I was like, okay, well, somebody that recently added me. So I had to look back, see who recently added me, and I found her, and I was like, maybe it could be fun, but it's not my cup of tea, and it's not going to lead anywhere. So I really didn't do anything with it, and it just got me thinking, like, seriously, the ones that I have tried to put myself out there on, either online dating, dropping DMs, even in person, right? Um, you don't get anywhere with them. The ones that you feel physically attracted. I don't feel like I'm an unattractive guy by no means. It's all subjective, right? Um, I'm follically challenged up top. I do shave my head. I think I could look good with a beard and a bald head. I stay physically active. I make good money. I do fun things. I have a lot of extracurricular activities that people can partake in. From boating to golfing to vacations, because I'm a frequent flyer person. All that stuff. But it's tough, because you know physical attraction. It's not all about that, but it definitely gets your foot in the door. And everything up to that and everything after that, on both sides of the spectrum, is just icing on the cake a lot of times. For me and for guys, she could be a 10, but if she's a you know dud personality wise, or just a shit person, it ain't gonna last. You don't want it to last, right? That one is fun right when it's course, but if she's a 7 or an 8. Maybe she's physically fit, or got good curves to her, or whatever it is. But she's smart and funny and outgoing, right? That can make it. That can be a difference maker. Even for a well polished 6. And again, I don't even know my own rating. Like I couldn't. I'm not a type of person that just like, oh yeah, that's a 10, right? But be a lot of different people on that spectrum that you think's a 9 or a 10 in my case. But it comes to the point where it's like, maybe I'm just not that attractive at all, because typically, even if I do cold approach the ones I've cold approached, there has been little to no signs of interest, to even like, okay, she made eye contact, she smiled, not even the basics where it's even questionable. It's like nothing, and it's like, well, when am I going to see her again? I might as well go shoot my shot. And it goes pretty well. It doesn't come off creepy. At least I don't think it does. But I'm not the female perspective. But I feel like I have a little bit of, I'm a little bit more socially inept than most average people. Being an elder millennial, not a Zoomer or anything like that, right? You kind of develop some soft skills in that nature. So, um, it's just odd. It's an odd place to be in. Some older women are maybe a little bit easier. Sometimes even younger women may be a little bit easier. But it's just the hot and cold scale, and what turns people on and off has always been a mystery to me. Never going to figure it out. I might as well do my thing, hang out with the people I want to hang out, invest in the hobbies I want to invest. And if I meet somebody organically, whether it is through mutual friends or whether it is, out in the wild, so be it, right? But, I guess that to carry back over to the start, main reason why I'm saying that is, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but with the type of blood cancer that I have, having the enlarged spleen, which is probably about an 8 to 9 pound spleen that I'm on medicine chemo pills for. One, doesn't make me feel the greatest, but too, it's supposed to shrink the spleen. If it doesn't shrink the spleen, I want to get a splenectomy, probably in the next couple months, maybe sooner. I don't see why it would take that long. I got another month in the medicine, and then from there, we'll do some scheduling. After that, it's off to preparations. Obviously, I mean, I guess maybe it's not obvious, but it's one thing you got to take in consideration. You have a 6 to 8 week probably recovery, since they can't do that splenectomy laparoscopic. You're going to have to totally make an incision all the way down the abdomen to pull that freaking quado out. There's going to be some recovery to that, and it's going to be difficult because me being an active guy, going to the gym 5 days a week, not to being able to do nothing for probably 6 weeks. Maybe not 6 weeks, right? You can still go and walk on the treadmill, but lifting, again for 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, depending on how you heal, is going to be tough. The pain. Um, Glad to be about 8 pounds lighter after all the swelling goes down, but um, from there, you got the preparation of a stem cell transplant. Fortunately, I have, excuse me, about 8 donors under the age of 36 or under that I'm matched with, which is good. But that whole process is, considering my health and my age, doctors project, maybe 4 months of recovery with that, hopefully, and then hopefully, I don't have graft host disease. Hopefully, I don't get an infection. Hopefully, my body doesn't totally reject the transplant period, and then as my counts build back up, my strength builds back up. Hopefully, within a year, I'll be back to 100% and can fully live my life as expected without a whole lot of worry going on. There's some other medical stuff that I still have to get checked up on, and of course, being without a spleen, you're more susceptible to some internal infections. But there's vaccinations and things that you can do, and maybe some antibiotics, right, periodically as you go. But quality of life should be good, and it's a balancing act, right? Because could I live to be 45, 50 in this state? Life expectancy wise, yeah, sure. My quality of life maybe to go downhill in the next 5 years. We don't know. You don't know how quickly the disease is going to progress. So, um, considering I'm low risk, I got donor options. I'm young, healthy. There is some signs of it progressing forward. Why not do the transplant now and try to put it behind you and live to be 70, 80, right? So, that is the plan. So mentally, how do I prepare myself? Um, Lifestyle change, right? So I think I'm gonna mention here before getting got kind of hooked a little bit on some sim racing that was at the local bar that they have here that has some good podium sets up and equipment, um, good direct drive wheels, triple monitors, articulating seats, right? So high end dollar stuff. So I did some leagues like that in the fall, liked it enough. So I've invested into my own sim rig. Again, it's not anything earth shattering, but you got a cockpit, have a direct drive wheel, even though it's a little bit lower powered. Got pedals, got a curve monitor, purchased a gaming computer, and I've been doing some iRacing here the last couple days, trying to get more familiar with it because obviously the ones at the bar was pretty much handicapped in a lot of standpoints just because they want the general population to enjoy it. iRacing is pretty raw, and you have to do some finessing. So uh, my aggressive nature, I'm trying to get better. So that's what I'm going to do to try to have something to look forward to do and try to get better at goal oriented person, right? While I go through this medical be medical leave, lifestyle change for it's say a year. Be conservative. Maybe that's not even conservative. You don't know, but I got a good setup. Got a did a lot of research. I did spend some money. It wasn't anything earth shattering. Maybe it was like maybe 18 to 1900 bucks, maybe more than that, with some miscellaneous stuff and going to the hardware store and making some modifications and getting things to tie cables up and little odds and ends that people don't really correlate when they do a project. So kind of got that all squared away. Jumping into that, starting off with a little bit of test driving and some AI races before I jump into competitive live streamed races. Again, I'm not the greatest, right? I do tend to spin out, whether I rake too hard and spin out, or downshift too quickly and the back end goes around, or on acceleration, maybe I lose a little bit of spin, even with some of the drive assists on it. So, um, but it gives me something to do, gives me something to strive to get better at. Being a golfer, I understand starting from the ground up, and I know I've done a video and I've talked about, and other people may have talked about it too. It's just type of person that has never really been naturally good at a lot, been naturally average at a lot of stuff, but to excel, I really have to put effort and practice into it, right? I'm not like a natural anything, and this is just one of those things where I'm probably average, maybe subpar average, and I would like to get to be at least above average or competitive, right? And that's the goal, right? I don't expect to go out and be competing for championships or winning races, especially with live competition. Obviously, AI competition, it can definitely be a little bit different, but so that's that right now. It's kind of an update. Some of the things that were on my mind, some of the things that I got going in the future. I'll give you some updates as we go. Maybe there'll be some other topics I'll talk about in the coming future. I'm not really sure 100% on topics, right? They just kind of come as I'm laying in bed or as things kind of come up, and I think it's something relevant that I should share. But I also incorporate, how my racing is going to go. Am I going to do some streaming? Probably not. I'm not going to get that good. I can't even get 3 people to watch these videos half the time. So, um, but it should make for some good stories and some good times and some frustration too. And of course, there's always ups and downs in anything in life. So, um, with that, I'll just leave you at that. Hopefully 2026 start off good with everybody, and whether you're watching this year, next year, or whenever, hopefully we're all still here and we're all still doing well. In that case, I will see you again. Bye.